guys? My name is Brandon from Gearist.com. Today, we're going to take a close look at the Go Run 4 from Skechers Performance. About a year ago, when we first reviewed our first pair of Skechers Performance running shoes, which was actually the Go Run 3 version of this shoe right here, we were kind of shocked. I was shocked that I'm sitting there going, this is a legitimate running shoe. Skechers, that's right, Skechers has put out a legit running shoe. Now in that time, we have had the chance to review a few more Skechers running shoes, including the Go Run Ride 3, the Go Meb Speed 2, and also in that time, Skechers has begun to solidify even further itself as a legit running shoe brand. One of the things that really helped to kind of push it in that direction was Meb Keflezighi with a pair of the Go Meb Speed 3, winning the 2014 Boston Marathon. Huge boon for the company, huge boon for American road racing. At the same time, we've got specialty running shops. These guys that used to, a year or two ago, laugh at Skechers, that are now really taking them seriously, including one shop that is a friend of ours at Gearist. This is Granite City Running in Maine. A buddy of mine named Seth Hasty has just started that shop, and they are going all in with the Skechers line. Granite City is a super legit shop, and they're not taking a shoe lightly before they put it on their shelves, and they are putting Skechers Performance shoes in the store. But before we get into anything else, let's get into the details of the Go Run 4. Now the preceding version of this shoe, the Skechers Go Run 3, was the first time that we had any experience with Resilite, which is the material that Skechers uses in their outsole and midsole. It's not just traditional EVA foam, it's also not just traditional blown rubber or something like that. Rather, it's a rubber and EVA foam compound that makes it super resilient, also keeping the weight down and remaining very, very durable even when in an outsole setting. In the Go Run 4, Skechers has increased the overall stack height of the midsole slash outsole combination. That means that in the heel, you've got a stack of 18 millimeters, in the forefoot, 14 millimeters, for a total drop of 4 millimeters, keeping it nice in that natural running range that we like to see. Now, of course, when you add material to a shoe like that, you are going to also add some weight. But in the case of this shoe, Skechers has managed to keep the weight gain very low, and we're kind of pleased with that. The Go Run 3 came in at 6.9 ounces for a men's size 9. In this shoe, this is size 11, but in a size 9, comes in at 7.8 ounces. So it's just a tad under an ounce that it has gained. Not a huge deal, and when we talk about the fit and performance, we'll kind of allude to the fact that you really don't notice it very much at all. Probably one of the most significant differences between this and the Go Run 3 is the fact that they have shaved down or just kind of minimized that midfoot bump that's right there, the rocker, which they call the M-Strike or M-Strike technology. Now, in the case of the Go Run 4, you can see right here, it's this colored area, and that's going to be a little bit firmer, and it still has the effect of that rocker. So the transition from the rear of the shoe rather, to the front is still very, very quick, and you get off that heel if you land on the heel. And if you're a midfoot lander, you're really going to feel that propulsive forward force. It's a really nice thing where people might have balked at it from a cosmetic perspective. In the past, if you see a shoe that's got this kind of big arch or bump or whatever underneath it, some people might be a little wary of that. And in this shoe, that is not an issue. As with the Go Run 3, the Go Run 4 does maintain a very minimal rubber presence on the outsole, if you will. There's not really a distinct outsole as opposed to the midsole, but there are these sections of rubber that you can see here. So the white is all Resilite material. So is most of this orange, though again, I believe this is at a higher density, a little bit more firm than the rest of the white. But this orange here and these blue sections here, these are all going to be rubber. It's a high density rubber. It's going to be very, very durable. The downside of this is that if you have an inefficient gait where you're coming in on that heel and overstriding, or you're kind of sliding into the ground like this, there's going to be a tendency to wear away parts of the shoe that you might not want to see otherwise. However, I think that it's a very good chance to look at how you're wearing your shoes and improve your gait over a little bit of time. For me, I get a very clean stride. It's not a big deal. I don't really see a whole ton of wear. If anything, the primary area of wear is right here. This little stretch right there is where I primarily wear it. This has about 25 or 30 miles on it. Not a big deal to me, but again, if you're somebody who can wear down a rubber shoe super quick, full rubber outsole shoe, you're probably going to wear this quicker than you want to. But again, I think it's a good opportunity to work on cleaning up your stride. Probably my favorite part of the outsole, midsole, the sole unit of the Go Run 4 is its flexibility. Now, each of these things that you see here that looks like a design element, this kind of cutaway in the orange section here, all the little pillars right here that look like kind of design elements to a degree, those account for a ton of flexibility, because if you look at it, this shoe can go any way you want it to. Wrap it up, it bends all the way back into the heel. Largely, I chalk that up to the Resilite. There are no shanks or anything in there like this. Super, super flexible. comfortable shoe and really responds well to the foot. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the ride section. Now let's talk about the upper of the shoe. So first of all, the mesh that it is primarily made of is a dual layer mesh. The outside is very kind of fine, close-knit mesh you may be able to see there. There's not a lot that's going to be able to get through there, so debris will stay out of your way. On the interior side of it, it's a more open mesh. Now, this is going to allow for airflow. However, when you combine that with this closed mesh on the outside, airflow could be maybe a little bit more, but I don't see how it could do that and be as fine a screening on the outside to keep out fine debris. Also, that more open mesh that's on the inside in this area that I was telling you about that feels really great against a bare foot, should you choose to go sockless. I do not, but if you wanted to, that would be a good alternative to having to worry about your feet getting all blistered up and things like that. Around here in the collar area, this carries over a very, very soft mesh, very comfortable. And in fact, I didn't really feel any hot spots even as I put my hand in there now. No real hot spots that could arise. When I did wear this barefoot, just walking around, very, very comfortable. Let's keep in mind though, it's winter in Colorado. Not exactly conducive to running in barefoot in a shoe. Also, this mesh actually has a little bit of give to it. Not a ton of stretch. I wouldn't go so far as to say super stretchy or anything like that, but it does kind of move with the foot a little bit. So that's really nice in giving you that nice hugged feeling to the foot, but also keeping you held well in place. Moving to the outside of the upper of the Go Run 4, you can tell that most of the support structure, all of the support structure for that matter, is pretty much welded on overlays. Right here you've got an overlay. A lot of this stuff is graphic, but some of it is actually support structure. The only stitched parts that are on there on both the medial and lateral side right here, it's this one little stripe that goes up here from the right under the arch on the medial and lateral side, comes up here to meet the bottom of the throat, and then goes up and holds into the laces a little bit better to reinforce those laces being cinched down or just a lot of torque being put against them. Even though that section is stitched, it's very minimal, very close to the shoe. There's not a whole lot going on here, and this whole thing, again, complements the flexibility of the sole unit. There's also a nice welded overlay right here around the toe cap, which, if you tend to overstride or blow out the toes of your shoe at all, this is going to really help to reinforce that area of the shoe. Now, rounding out the upper, we've got a nice, not overly padded tongue, but it's actually very comfortable and doesn't give you, you don't feel the laces coming through it or anything like that a bunch. It's actually really nice. The heel counter is there. You know, we say oftentimes that a heel counter is flexible or semi-rigid or whatever. This is actually, you kind of squeeze it. It doesn't feel a whole lot different than the remainder of the shoe. So that's actually nice, but it still keeps the foot locked down nicely. And the last cool thing I'll point out about the upper, this is a new thing, and this is the Kwik Fit System, or the Kwik Fit portal right here on the back. Now, when I first saw this, I was kind of worried that maybe there would be some abrasion. Maybe you would feel kind of the backside of your heel there. You'd feel that rubbing right there or something like that. Not so at all. You can see where the divot goes far enough in that you'd have to have a really pointy backside of your heel there to get through that area. But it's very comfortable, and for those people that really need that extra second to get their shoe on, this is a nice way to really be able to pull it onto your foot nicely. Cool system. Don't be afraid of it. I have yet to hear anybody complain about it. Maybe I haven't looked hard enough, but for me, it's an absolute really cool thing to have there. In terms of sizing, as with the previous iteration of this shoe and all the other Skechers shoes I've tried, this size 11 fits me exactly where I would expect it to be, so let's just call it industry standard. Now, earlier I mentioned that the shoe had gained a little bit of weight, just under an ounce, and some might think that, oh, well, I'm going to feel just under an ounce. Look, number one, Princess and the Pea, you're not going to feel just under an ounce on your foot like that. However, in this shoe, because of the way the rest of the upper fits, it's nice hug to the foot, as I mentioned earlier, that weight doesn't matter and the shoe essentially just disappears on your foot. I also really like the way the toe box fits in general. Again, if I close off this blue section here, you can see that it actually fits kind of well. So basically, if I were to cut off the unused portion, you can see that it's quite rounded. One thing that I will say, and I say this, let's keep in mind, about 99% of shoes, there could be just a hair, like 3 millimeters extra space on that lateral side of the toe box, the front toward the front of the toe box. I think that would allow just a little more room, but I don't have a problem with this at all. I actually think it's really, really great. That's just me being picky, and again, something I say about roughly 99% of running shoes. Now let's talk about the ride of the shoe, because that is, after all, where the rubber hits the road, quite literally. And for me, it's a really, really nice ride. Some people have compared this to a Kinvara 5, and I can really see that. As somebody who really loves the Kinvara 5 a lot, I did Ironman Chattanooga this past year in the Kinvara 5. This shoe does compare very nicely. However, I would say that this feels a little more poppy. Now, I'll add the caveat to say that the last time I ran in the Kinvara 5 was at Ironman Chattanooga 2014, so when you're in a shoe for that long, your feet feel a little laggy, let's just say. So I may be misinterpreting that. What I would say is try them both on. But this has a great amount of pop. I found that when I did a fartlek run or really put some speed to this, it does a great job, and you just really kind of want to go fast. But it also is one of those shoes where you can do a cruiser run in it. You can go out and kind of take it easy if you want to. It's not a shoe that begs you to go, or forces you rather, to go fast. It can cruise, but when you want to go fast and you ask for it, it will go with you right away. Also regarding the ride, as I mentioned, that shaved down M-Strike technology, that midfoot bump that was there in the previous iterations of the shoe, I think it's a really good thing that it's kind of been shaved down a little bit, at least from cosmetic perspective. And that again is because, number one, people are going to have a hard time going Skechers, and you go, Skechers, dude, they're legit, for real. So that's the first part. The second part is that people are going to then look at it and go, okay, but this bump, this rocker thing. Now look, I don't think that anybody who tried the shoe is really going to have a problem with that being overpronounced in, say, the Go Run 3 or what have you. But I think that this will bridge that gap, and having somebody look at it and go, awesome, that looks like a really great shoe, and not see this big thing underneath, which again, it was not a huge thing. For instance, here is a picture of the Go Run 3. Not a huge deal, but it's there, so some people might balk at that. I like the fact that it's been shaved down a little bit of this, but the functionality of it still persists, and that's a good thing. As has always been a highlight of ours in the past, the price tag of this shoe is really nice. Comes in at $100, which is a little steeper than it was in previous iterations of this shoe, but again, this is a step up in shoe technology. I think they've done a great job with this, and I would have no problem paying that full $100 of it. Just in case you are shopping for it, you can click down below in the comment section. We've listed where you can buy that at Amazon and or Zappos. And by the way, when you do that, it's a good thing for Gearist, so thanks for shopping with us. The other thing that I should mention, and let's keep in mind that we are now right about close to the end of February 2015. This is a very early front runner for update of the year. This has been a great shoe that we're very, very impressed with. It runs really well. It's got a lot of pop, can go short, can go long, can go everything in between. And you know, one of the things that people still say from time to time is they go, Skechers? Really? Look, if you're still saying Skechers really, even after your hardcore runner geek friends like myself, and again, like Seth Hasty over at Granite City Running, you're making a mistake. Skechers Performance is putting out some super legit shoes, and if you're not putting your feet in them, at least to try it, you're missing out. So guys, my question for you today is, have you tried Skechers running shoes yet? If not, let us know why in the comments section down below. Before you go, don't forget about the new Gearist podcast. You can check that out by clicking this button right here. We'll take you to the episodes that are here on our YouTube channel, or you can subscribe in iTunes by clicking this button right here. It doesn't cost you anything. Go to hear us talk to people that are brand reps, product guys, inventors, guys and girls from different brands, as we get down into the dirty meat of why a brand is what it is and where their products come from, where the creative minds come up with this stuff, and what was their original intent and where did that product ultimately end up. Check out the Gearist podcast here on our YouTube channel or in iTunes. If you've got any questions about this or any of our other videos, please don't hesitate at all to leave a comment down in the comments section below. Also, you can reach out to us over here. You can see in our sidebar on all our social media outlets, my personal Strava up at the top, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and down there right in the bottom you can see our YouTube subscribe button, which is what you're watching right now. Be sure to subscribe, get all our video updates as soon as they come out. Also, you may just see one or two of our podcast recordings come out there as a live show, which you can follow along with and ask questions. As always, if you want to see the entire site, please visit Gearist.com, which you see right here. We'd love to have you guys over there take a look around. And if you are in the market for anything, click on the buy links that we've got there. It doesn't cost you any more, but it does help to support Gearist, so thank you guys so much for doing that ahead of time. Once again, I know I've said thank you like 1,000 times, but thank you guys so much for watching today's episode, and we will talk to you soon.